Namaste, beautiful Tune In apprentice. I'm so excited that you're here. As always, this is Module 7 of the Tune In program. Why are you really here? Now, this is one of the most important parts of the program. Yes, we really went into the foundation when we worked our way through balance, but now you're right in the middle of connect. And knowing our reason for existing is not only one of the foundational way to living on purpose, but it is the reason why you will be able to reach and live your full potential. Are you excited? I'm so excited. And here's how it's going to go. In this video, I'm going to share with you my why. What is my reason for existing? How I came about discovering it. And I'll share with you 3 stories that helped me to confirm that why. And these stories will also help you to discover your own stories, as I will walk you through also the Discover Your Why file or document that you have in the file section of the membership site. Are you ready? If you want, you're welcome to use the Discover Your Why document at the same time as you watch this video, and press pause whenever you have ideas or whenever you want to jot down some stuff, okay? Now, finding our why is, like I said, important to be able to reach our full potential. But it's not something you're going to share with everyone saying, my why is to be blah blah because blah blah. No, you're not going to necessarily share with others unless you feel called to it, unless people are asking you, unless unless people are asking you. But externally, it's not something that we share as much. But knowing our why is one of the ways that we can feel empowered to take decisions that are aligned with our values, aligned with what we believe in, aligned with what's important to us, aligned with our why. So when we have our why statement, we are better able to choose, am I going to make this decision, like big decisions, like, do I want to spend the rest of my life with this person? Or do I want to go and study this subject? Or do I want to take this job? Or do I want to live there? These kinds of big life decisions, when we can know our why, we're just better equipped to be like, yep or no, right? I hope this makes sense so far. So my why, I thought I had many whys, but it always comes down to this one why. All right. So my why is that I'm here to empower women to live their best life in accordance to their values, to their needs, to what's important to them, so that they can feel fulfilled, happy, healthy right now, free, and good in their body. Okay, that is my why. And there can be many different aspects of this why, and I'll tell you why. So in the Discover Your Why document, you'll notice, actually, let me share my screen with you so that we can look at it together. Discover Your Why, this is page 1. Now, page 2, you will see that the first thing I ask of you is that to write down and take note of any memories or stories that really make who you are. What are defining moments in your life? What were times when you remember how you acted, because that's who you are. It showcases your personality. It showcases who you are. What were ups and downs of your lives? What were the most emotional times or periods of time that touched you deeply and that made you who you are? Now, we can have so many different stories. I have a lot, but I decided to narrow it down to three stories that I wanted to share with you. And then the second thing I ask of you that I will also share with you is to connect the dots between the stories. So what are values that come through in each of these stories, and how do they connect all of them together? What are the ones that come through the most? Skills and strengths that you have that are showcased by how you responded to situation, by how you acted, by the decisions you made in that moment. What are the connected dots between each stories? And then beliefs. What do you believe in? What do these stories and memories show us that you believe in, right? And then the third part is, what's your why? What's your why statement? You can have many. They might all be very similar. And a way that this work is also very great is when you are wanting to put forth a project that you have, either it's setting up your business, writing a book, starting a little business with a friend, and just bringing forth your talents. When you know your why, you feel more motivated to go ahead and do that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share the stories, but I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that you don't read and that you can listen to me. And then I'm going to share with you, after I tell you the stories and the connected dots, I'm going to share with you ways that can stimulate the idea flow for you, okay? So the first story that, sorry, my screen seems to be moving a little bit, I'm sorry. The first story I wanted to share with you was how I organized the open house of the elementary school I attended when I was in elementary school. I was 8 years old, and I remember going into the principal's office with a paper. I had drawn the plan of the school because there was going to be the open house, and I'd drawn the plan, and I was like, here's how we can do it. We can use the gym for that, and the classrooms for this, and we can welcome people this. And I had actually drawn where desks would be, and I had basically shared my vision with the principal of the school. And what my mother told me is that the principal actually called her and said, I never seen that. He was blown away by my leadership at 8 years old. And I remember at that time that I was bullied in school. It wasn't very, I couldn't really notice that's what it was at that time, but thinking back on these years, I realized that that's what it was. And I still had the confidence in me to lead and to have a vision and to bring forth my ideas, regardless of if I was standing out or if I was speaking, from my heart, and I was not letting the bullying drag me down. So that's story number one. And then I'll connect the dots. Actually, I'll do it right now. So that first story, the values that are in there that I see, and maybe you notice other kinds of values, but leadership, determination, vision, organization, purpose-driven, determination, mentorship, independence as well, are kind of values that I see in that story. And the beliefs is that I believe that we all have in us the capacity to lead the way with our own truth, and not to hide away and let the bullies drag us down and drain our energy. And the skills and strength, well, was being a mentor, being a team leader, being an entrepreneur is kind of in my blood, perhaps. And that's the skill and strength that comes out through the story. Now, story number two is when I, at 18, decided I wanted to go learn Spanish in Malaga in Spain with a friend of mine. And I went there really because my parents took my sister and I on travels for throughout our whole childhood. So travel was really something I was yearning to do. I really enjoyed it. And maybe I was also seeking a bit of independence and freedom doing it on my own. So I went with my friend to Malaga in Spain. We were living at this woman's house called, her name was Peggy, and she was the best cook ever. Oh my gosh. When I used to eat cheese, she made a cheese soup. Have you ever ate that? No. Anyway, with my friend, I got to know her a bit better, right? When you spend a month living with the same person at 18, you've never lived with anyone else really than your parents. And I remember that she was a kind of person who drained my energy. She would drag me down to bring herself up. And I remember that made me feel like shit. It really did, because she would value guys' opinions. She would value how, whenever she would get compliments from guys, she would come back to me and say, this guy said that and this guy said that. And I remember telling her, why do you need that? Why can't you feel the same way if I tell you you're beautiful. And so in that story, I remember standing up for myself. I remember having the confidence to feel good about myself on my own. And after that trip, we actually parted ways because I really recognized that I didn't want this kind of draining energy in my life. And so what this story gives me as values is, for example, independence, purpose-driven again, determination again, curiosity, traveling, growth, learning, experience, adaptability, maybe something about boundaries. And the belief is that I believe that it is a sign of lack of confidence when others drag us down to bring themselves up, and that it is our choice to surround ourselves with like soul people who uplift or drain us. Right? In this story, I could also say that I really believe that traveling creates experiences and allows us to shape the person who we are by going out into the world and learning about other cultures, right? And stepping out of our comfort zone. I could also say that. And the skills and strengths that I find in the stories is setting boundaries, the ability to choose for myself and to trust my inner confidence and not let others drag me down, that I have it in me. You might have heard me say that you have it in you, right? So I feel like that comes through. And then the third story, so I'll connect the dots after, but to the third story was I was a mentor to 20 to 40 different young adults, and I was 21. I was 21. I was coming back from my year abroad studying in the Netherlands for my second year in university. I had 1 year left to do in the communications bachelor's degree I was doing. And I really wanted this dream job of mine, which was to be the street team coordinator and be on air, live on events like concerts and live broadcasts, or big store openings, or anything that you hear on the radio about that seems cool back then. That's really what I wanted to do. And for 3 years before that, so as soon as I was 18, I was volunteering as a street teamer for the biggest radio stations in Montreal. So I really wanted to get that higher job. And when I got the job, I was able to finish my schooling over 2 years instead of 1, but I really, really gave everything that I had to this job. And one of the best parts of this job was that I got to be a mentor to these street teamers, these volunteers. Yeah, they were volunteers. They wanted the experience of being in the media, attending concerts, being the face of the radio stations. And I was able to guide them and lead them through living this experience and building up their resume so that when they came the time to go on the job market, they had this experience to back them up in a real office, in a real setting, hands-on learning. And I've recently had a call with a bunch of these street teamers who showed me that they had such a beautiful formative experience as part of the street team. And it really blessed my heart to know that. And when I think back on that story, the values that come through are definitely teaching, mentorship again, leadership again, independence again, purpose-driven again, determination again, growth, learning, experience, organization, teamwork, making a difference in people's lives. You see how there's a lot of connection from the other stories as well? And the belief that I have from this story is that I believe that everyone has their best life and abilities in front of them, and that it belongs to them whether they choose to see it or not, but that I can help them see it and that I can support them in living that purpose. And see how it's very aligned with my why. And the skills and strengths that I see in the story is that I was able to bring the best out of these young adults' lives, for which this was their first experience in on the job market, in the professional world. And this brings me back to, I'll say my why again, and you'll see if you can connect the dots just by having heard these stories. And now, so I'm really here to support and empower women to live their best life in accordance to their values, to their needs, to what's important to them, keeping their own boundaries, being able to uplift their energy so they can feel fulfilled, so they can feel happy, so they can feel on purpose, unstuck and free and good in their body. I could add more stories, more related to feeling good in our body, more about health, more about, feeling from stuck to unstuck. I can add more stories, but I really wanted to give you an idea of how this can look like for you. So if I share my screen again, and for the Discover Your Why, now I want you to write these stories on page 2, write these stories, these memories. And let me get the book. I wanted to share with you some questions. So this is a book I love. It's called Find Your Why by Simon Sinek. And you'll see that I shared with you his TED Talk link in the membership site in the lesson text. So you're welcome to go watch it. And this is his book. And these are the questions that can help you have more ideas for memories. Are you ready? So you can pause the video if ever something comes up, just jot it down. Who in your life has helped make you the person you are today? Coach, mentor, teacher, family member. Okay, so when you write that down, you can say, whether you were interacting with them, with someone else, and how did you hear their words, or watching their actions make you feel? What kind of influence did they have on you? Who else shaped who you are today? So that will be one way to start bring in memories to life. Another question. Think of a day at work when, as you headed home, you might have said to yourself, I would have done that for free. Something that you really loved, when you're at work and you're like, some days you're like, oh, that sucks. But then other days you might feel really fulfilled and empowered. So what happened that day that made you say that? What about thinking of your worst day at work? The kind of day you hope never to go through again. What happened? And how did you handle it? What is the earliest specific happy childhood memory that comes to your mind? At school, what was an experience you loved? There's about 4 more questions. What has been a pivotal moment in your life? One when you realized nothing would ever be the same. A moment in your life that you're like, whoa, before that I was such a different person, and after that I'm such a better person. What happened that changed the way you think about the world and your role in it? What is something that, maybe a movie you watched, maybe something you heard, maybe a book you read, maybe an experience that really changed the way you think about the world and about your role in life? Yeah. What was a time when you gave of yourself to help someone else, after which you felt unbelievably good, like you had done something that mattered? Is there something that comes to mind? Last question. What have you accomplished that you're really proud of? And be sure to make a mental note of who else was involved, who helped you, who cheered you on, who was waiting for you at the finish line. And when you have those people in mind, it helps you to notice, what values do you have? What kind of values are you inspired that these people have? Right? So you can write those down in that square box here. And of course, if you don't have enough space, just turn the paper around and add some more notes on there. And then number 2, I want you to remember, right, the values, the strengths and skills that connect, that are in each story, and the beliefs. You could do it like me, and I'm going to scroll down right quick. Like what I did is, like, I gave you, for example, story number 2, I wrote it here. Then I put values, beliefs, and strengths, skills. So you can also do it that way, or you can just write all of the values and skills and beliefs and strengths in here, just piling them up if you wish. Stories are just there to help you bring to the forefront of your awareness exactly that, the values, strengths, skills, beliefs. Yeah. Then number 3 would be, what's your why? And so if I was to ask you, what is one thing that all of these experiences are sparking in you that make your reason for living, for being alive, for moving on after the tune in program and being like, this is what I'm going to make sure all my decisions are based around. This is the kind of business I'm gonna put forth. This is the kind of book I'm gonna write. These are the kinds of projects that I'm gonna get involved in, because they spark up my why, because they help it grow. They help me feel fulfilled, aligned, and on purpose. Yeah. So when you scroll down, you'll see my stories, and then so number 1, number 2 for each stories. Sorry, I hope I'm not making you too dizzy. And then at the end, I wrote my why. I'm here to empower women to live their best life, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I'd love for you to write any extra insights that you feel are important to remember at this point in this document. I hope this was helpful, and be gentle with yourself. You might want to schedule, for example, ways to just jot down a little bit every day. Maybe you put a timer, when you need a break from work in the middle of your day, and just put 10 or 15 minutes timer, just go through during this week, right? And just write down the kinds of stories that come to mind, and maybe start with number 1, and then later go to number 2. And then, the why statement can be something that we work out together on our coaching call, while you share these stories with me, and I can be your partner, in listening and seeing if there's connected dots that you can't see. But I'd love for you to do the work first, and to do your best in recognizing and feeling into what sparks joy in you, what sparks passion, what speaks to you, right? Because I don't know that, but I can see it. If we talk on video, I'll be able to see what kind of energy your face has when you tell these stories. But I want you to feel into them first. Sounds good? All right, I'm so excited for you. Let me know how it goes, and I'll catch you later in our coaching call, in your coaching call. Mwah.